What's going on YouTube? My name's Abe and I'm going to help you guys get into an IT job as fast as possible, making a good wage in my 6-step process. If you're not familiar with who I am, I recently, within the last couple months, got my first IT job, and I got it quickly for a livable wage way beyond $15, $20 an hour. But I want to say that hard work pays off in the long run. So I see a lot of people struggling to say, hey, I've applied for job after job and I cannot get it, or I don't know who to talk to. So my 6-step process is the whole goal of that. And this is step 2, getting and understanding a DOD clearance, right? So what will be covered in this video? If you don't want to hear out these 2 points, click off the video. What is a clearance and how to get one? Finding jobs to sponsor you for a clearance. All right, those are the 2 points. But it is so important because once you have a clearance, you knock 99% of people out of the picture. All right, guys, like I'm telling you, and I see from the company that I work at, these jobs are offering 100K, and we will have 1 or 2 or 3 applicants, and that's it. Just because that secret clearance or that top secret clearance cuts that many people out of the way. So what is a DOD clearance? The United States government has many agencies that require clearance to work for them. Most oftentimes, it is for a role related to the Department of Defense, although be aware that many other agencies require one as well. Clearances do an in-depth background check to ensure you are trustworthy, stable, and hold total allegiance to the United States of America. So we're going to go over the clearance types and special extensions. So we have confidential, that's a damage to national security; secret, serious damage to national security; top secret, that's like grave damage, exceptionally extravagant, or whatever damage. There's a lot of definitions on top secret I've seen pop around, but it's just saying like you're going to cause some serious damage if the information you're talking about gets leaked out. And then we have the top secret SCI, which is sensitive compartment information, certain areas you get to know. So it's kind of like maybe a broad topic or genre or program or whatever, right, that you may have access to. And then we have top secret SAP, which is special access program. Very few people have access to know about these programs. It is a lot more confined in a specific smaller group of individuals that may be working on a program, and special access programs are usually not publicly acknowledged by the United States government. So the process to receive a clearance, now that we know, let's cut 99% of people out of the picture, help you get a job where now that the demand is high but the eligibility is low, we can rebuttal the wage, right? We can fight for a higher wage thanks to us having this exclusivity by having our clearance. So one must have a verifiable need to obtain the clearance. So a reason for them to spend the money and the time to do your investigation, right? Military service is an option. Job sponsors is an option. A specific job role within the company you already work at may require a clearance. So you could always transition into a clearance required job, but still stay at your own company. So people who can receive one are those working for the federal government or contractors, i.e. private companies like Google government or Amazon government cloud with a federal government contract. So processes can take months to a year to receive. Other things like a special access program on top of that can be another few months. So on top of your top secret investigation, your secret, if you have to have SAP access, that is a whole other investigation and background process that has to happen. After the person is sponsored, you're going to fill out what's called an equip form with like people you know, places you've lived, any connections you may have. You're giving them the ability to run a background check on you, to check your bank account, to check your debt to income ratio. Like they are going to know everything about you, to release your fingerprints to them, to do a legal background check with like traffic stops, any type of civil violations or other type of legal issues you may or may not have had. So the Department of State's Diplomatic Security Services conducts the security investigation. That's DSS. So they're the website you would go to fill out that equip form. So they describe this process to do this as such. Jobs that need a clearance. So you need a job that needs a clearance. Hiring office submits the questionnaire and other required forms on your behalf because they're sponsoring you. DSS starts the investigation, and in that hiring office submit part of the questionnaire. That also might be where you're going to actually submit your equip form and do it yourself. Just depends on the company. So DSS starts the investigation. DSS conducts record checks and fingerprints. You may need to have your fingerprints taken again. I've had my fingerprints taken like every single time I've had an investigation or whatever go down, right? So DSS, after approval, stamps your investigation with a tier rating. So there's like 5 tiers that you can get rated on as like super trustworthy to like not happening. So it just kind of depends, or hey, you might get approved, but like the company that's approving you might want to be a little weary of what information they're going to give you access to. So DSS lets the company know you're good to work when an approved investigation, or they will make your company aware that you failed the investigation. More times than not, like you might fail the investigation, but it might just get kicked back for you to clarify something, or the investigating officer will call you and be like, hey, you said this, here's this, like, can you give me a good reason why? Like you might have just had a mix up in dates of when you worked somewhere 5 or 10 years ago. You might have spelt someone's name wrong. You might have put someone's phone number in wrong. It just all depends, right? So why may your clearance get denied? So from DSS, this is a big long thing. Like maybe you lack allegiance to the United States of America. Maybe you have too much potential foreign influence, like towards other countries or whatever, where like, though that other country could like influence you now knowing that you're on the inside because you have a deep connection with them. If you have a foreign preference, i.e. that like you lean, like you might be a U.S. citizen, but you might lean towards like some other country's political beliefs. Like, yeah, that's how I think the country should be ran. That can be seen as a danger. Financial considerations. If you're stupid hard in debt and you don't make a lot of money, it's going to be easy for you to be bribed than for some dude who's rich that doesn't need a dollar from nobody. So they're going to consider your debt to income ratio. If you're an alcoholic, obviously, are you stable? Do you have self-discipline? Can you control yourself? Obviously drugs, criminal conduct. I feel like those are a little bit more self-explainable. Misuse of information technology. Like, are you hacking stuff? Are you going against like laws? Are you, leaking information? Are you not, do you not have common sense when using computer systems? Because if you're on a secret system and you create like a virus or a worm and backdoor entrance into that system, you're a liability. So how to get a job to sponsor you for a clearance. Now, this is the hardest part, but once your foot's in the door and you're consistent with this, you're going to have it in the bag for your second, third, fourth, and fifth job, right? So how to get a clearance. The obvious one is the military, active duty, secret clearance, bang, boom, bada done by default. Now, that might get slowed down if your parents aren't U.S. citizens. It might be a little bit more in-depth of a process, but it can still happen. The Guard is also an option. So like 1 week in a month within the military, like say, hey, maybe you were interested in doing the military anyways, and it's an easy way to get a clearance. And you can go back to your civilian job, do a tech job, have a clearance, be in the military, get the benefits, right? So jobs that do not require clearance, but have many government contracts to transition into a clearance job. I know this happens with people all the time. Like, Amazon, for instance, might have an entry-level tech job or help desk job, but about their government contract team and be like, hey, once you build that relationship at that company for 6 months, 7 months, a year down the road, and they have a position open, your manager, knowing you and knowing your character and who you are, what might be more willing or will be more willing more times than not to sponsor you for that clearance now. So, it's much easier for a company to give a person who already works for them a clearance because they don't have to do the whole hiring process and going into that sometimes. It just depends. Physical security is another one. There's tons of government contracts that have physical security personnel. Allied Security is like the biggest security company in the world from what I'm aware of, and they will pretty much pick up anybody and sponsor you for a clearance. And once you have a clearance, even if you leave that company, it doesn't matter. The clearance is attached to you, your social security number, and your name, right? So like if you go work for them for 6 months while you're studying for your Net Plus, Sec Plus, CISSP, or whatever, cop in that freaking clearance and bounce. All right, start applying for jobs while you're working there once you've gotten your clearance and bounce. That's an easy, honestly, I think that's probably the easiest way to get your foot in the door if you're just getting into IT, work physical security, get your certifications, get your clearance, and now you're completely qualified. Another one are help desk jobs. There's a lot of help desk jobs from like a company that I specifically know called SAIC. They do help desk for like all branches of the military. They will always hire people pretty much and give you a clearance, right? They're relatively easy in the door. I've seen them pay between $20 and $25 an hour, and I've seen some Army contracts pay $30 an hour for help desk. So like, remember, you got to be willing to suck the suck. So we're going to see some websites here in a second. I decided to do that at the end to show you guys some options, right? So do not discredit your work. The biggest thing I hate to see is that too many people foster is talking down in help desk positions. I see on all these Facebook pages people saying, oh, don't do help desk, skip help desk. Help desk is miserable. Well, I'm telling you, man, if you make the $20 to $25 an hour at help desk, you only got to work there 6 months, 7 months, and your clearance will be approved, right? And then bounce, because that's 6 months of you maybe not enjoying technology to the fullest. That security clearance is going to help you for decades to come, where you're going to, once again, right here, help you get a $150K job way faster thanks to your clearance. Private companies can pay a lot, right? Like there's a lot of companies that'll pay you a lot of money to work for them, but the problem is the competition is way higher. So you imagine a $150K job with 5 applicants because it requires a security clearance, where it cuts out so much of the competition, instead of a public company that doesn't require clearance, but they have 100 applicants. Like, you're going to need so much knowledge, so much experience, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be way harder to get that $150K at a private company without a clearance than at a government company or a public contractor with the clearance, because the competition is that much less. So the most financial freedom does not come from the shortest path. And I think people need to remember that. Like, oh, you're saying, oh, go work help desk or work this or go work physical security and then get your clearance and then go to IT. I'm telling you, man, the most financially stable people, you never picked the shortest or the easiest path, all right? They got the thing done. So leaving that, we are going to go over some websites. So from left to right here, I kind of have this set up from what I think is like per se the easiest to get into to like the hardest and the most requirements. So this is Allied Universal, which is that like security company I was talking about. You can see in here that they're offering $20 an hour, depending on where you go. I'm sure you could get higher than that. They're immediately hiring professionals. Like, these guys are always hiring. I'm telling you, they're desperate. So like, don't be fooled by these people where they're like trying to knock you down on pay or whatever, right? So these people, qualifications must be able to obtain a security clearance if required. So they're not saying you have to have a security clearance to start. Some of these jobs will say that, right? But in this case, you do not. They're a great way to get in the door, possess a high school diploma or equivalent, or 5 years of verifiable experience. So all you need is a freaking high school diploma or a GED and, be able to obtain a clearance. And remember, like you say, well, there's 3 to 5 years of high level security experience on DOD or similar military. Remember, nobody ever meets all the requirements for a job. Like the job that I got a couple months ago, I maybe met 50% of what they were wishful thinking, but in reality, like, I don't do or need half of the stuff that they want on the required list anyways. Like, there's always that famous picture of like a million technologies, but the only thing that's actually used is like Microsoft Word, right? So keep that in mind. Apply, get your foot in the door, talk to people, all right? And then the next one is from SAIC Careers. This is an IT Systems Integration Analyst, so help desk essentially. And if you can see, clearance level must be able to obtain none. But this is a company that has tens of thousands of people who work for it with clearances as help desk or IT professionals for the DOD. Every branch of the military literally uses SAIC for like help desk or some type of networking. So you can get your foot in the door with this company, work for a little bit, get help desk experience. So you're getting IT experience on your resume, and then you're set up to go to a clearance because they offer it all the time. And here's one right here. So clearance level must be able to obtain is a secret clearance for a help desk position. And, you know, where's this one? This one's in Georgia. They have them in Utah, Georgia, Texas, Maryland. I've seen them in Missouri. Like SAIC is everywhere. California, and whatnot. You know, they're 8-hour shifts, they're 24/7, 365, so they're always hiring. There's always a position available if like you're trying to go to school or whatever, you know, like here's some certificates that they would like to see, blah, blah, blah. SAIC is a great option. Look into them. Like I said, you're probably going to be between the $20 and $30 an hour doing help desk for these guys, and depending on what city you're living in. So Vectrus is another one. Clearance requirement, ability to obtain a secret clearance. Once again, this is a junior engineer / developer role asking for clearance. But once you're in and you get your clearance, there's great benefits too at companies like this. Medical, dental, life, vision, 401k, paid time off, holidays, you know, jury duty time off, blah, blah, blah. Paid jury duty time off, I should say, and all that. So there's another junior engineer developer. Here is a slightly different one. So at the same company, must have and maintain a valid secret clearance. But see, now once you have a clearance, you can stay within the same company. So you don't got to go job searching. You can move up the chain. So that's what I was kind of trying to show you with these two, and trying to show you with these ones as well. Like once you're in a company, it's very easy to go up to a program that requires a clearance, and then you can bounce from there if you'd want to. And then here's another one with that company that requires a top secret. So you could go from no clearance to secret to top secret. And once you got a top secret, I'm telling you, man, you're stupid valuable. So, you know, that's another great option with here. And then another website I just wanted to kind of honorably mention is Clearance Jobs. So Clearance Jobs is like an organization or government ran entity. I can't remember. They're plastered all over the military. I know that. And all these jobs will be like secret. Their website's full of jobs that will sponsor clearances. You know, these are help desk positions. These pay, you know, around the $70,000 range. Like they're good paying jobs, especially for your first job. Work there 6 months to a year and bounce. So these are some companies and some websites to pay attention to and look for those jobs. You know, be able to tell the difference from not needing a clearance to be able to obtain a clearance to being or to requiring a clearance. So, you know, those are the key words that you're kind of looking for in your job search. Like clearance jobs must be able to obtain. Like use those key words in your search for jobs in your area, and you'll be able to find them. I hope this gives you guys a little bit more clarity on how to get into this and how to get sponsored for security clearance. And please stay tuned for my step 3 and my 6-step process on how to help you guys get a job as fast as possible.